President Beilock, it is my honor, in the presence of the trustees, faculty, alumni, staff, students, their families, and distinguished guests of Barnard College, to declare this 2020 Convocation ceremony now open. Please welcome the Chair of the Barnard Board of Trustees, Cheryl Glicker Milstein, class of 1982 and parent of a 2014 graduate.
Good afternoon. I'm Cheryl Milstein, an exceedingly proud alumna from the class of 1982 and chair of the Barnard Board of Trustees. I'm honored to bring you greetings from the board. As some of you may remember when I spoke at Convocation last year, I spoke about what being a student at Barnard was like in the late 1970s and early 80s, the yuppie-dom, the shoulder pads, the toga parties, the electric typewriters. And I talked about how I've never left Barnard since then. I've maintained close ties with the college as a young alumna, an older alumna, a trustee, the parent of the student, the parent of an alumna, and now the chair of the board. So I said, I've seen Barnard from every possible light. Guess what? I never imagined I'd see anything like this. Not in my wildest dreams did I ever think we'd be starting a new year with no one on campus or that I'd be welcoming you through a screen. And I thought the electric typewriters were complicated. But I'm not here to provide deep thoughts on our current situation. Others today will look at the uniqueness of fall semester 2020 through a more philosophical lens. What I want to tell you is this. Though I hesitated briefly, I quickly realized that the core messages I delivered last year and hope to deliver again are actually unchanged. Barnard will shape you, and you will carry it with you for the rest of your life. Your varying backgrounds and strengths matter deeply and will enrich everything about your college experience. The Barnard faculty and administrators are ready to support you in every way they can, as are your trustees. We always love to hear from you. Your classes will inspire you. Your curiosity will take you on intellectual journeys you never imagined, and the friendships you make will last long into the future. So you see, it all still applies, every last word. And that's what makes Barnard so special. As beautiful as the campus is, and as fun as New York City can be, and don't worry, they're both still there waiting for your return, it's the people, the ideas, the work, and the friendships at Barnard that ultimately matter the most and that make Barnard the best college in the world. So keep dreaming big, keep trying new things, and keep reaching out to each other, both in and out of your classes. And one way or another, I'll see you next year. Until then, enjoy the start of the school year. Be well.
Hello, I'm Amy Veltman, class of 1989 and president of the AABC, the Alumni Association of Barnard College, and a Barnard trustee. I am honored to welcome you to the Barnard community, which includes not only your fellow new and returning students and a tremendous faculty, but more than 35,000 alumni spread around the globe. The challenges of this year have sharpened our focus on you, today's students. We are all eager to help you, welcome you, and we hope inspire you. I've already been inspired by those of you I've had the joy of meeting, your dedication to your education and your adaptability. I'm certain that you've already discovered that Barnard is as much of a spirit and a community as it is a place. And now you are one of us. I am so very pleased to welcome you to this extraordinary academic year and the wonderful family that is Barnard.
Good afternoon. This is the part of the program where alumni from classes spanning the 1930s to 2020 would march down the center aisle of Riverside Church, their heads and class year banners held high. A representation of the personal achievements and contributions to society of our over 35,000 alumni worldwide, The procession is a physical embodiment of the strength and resilience of Barnard women throughout the generations.
Although we can't be together in person today to pass that proverbial torch, the Board of Directors of the Alumni Association of Barnard College would like to officially welcome the class of 2024 to the Barnard family and wish all Barnard students the best as you venture into this extraordinary academic year.
Happy Convocation, Barnard.
Good afternoon. I'm Linda Bell, Provost and Dean of the Faculty, and I'm honored and excited to formally address you and welcome you as we inaugurate this new academic year. After a chaotic spring that saw the close of the campus at a moment's notice and saw us move our community online, this summer has been a whirlwind of planning and adjusting to new realities. And now September is upon us. It finds us spread out and physically distanced more than we expected, and certainly more than we would like, but also very much together in spirit in a manner that is characteristically Barnard. Every year at Convocation, I have the pleasure of inaugurating the new academic year as we celebrate the reunion of our intellectual and scholarly community. And with each year of Convocation, we acknowledge the passing of time and the significant responsibility inherent to the pursuit of education. Most of you will have 4 short years, and it is your responsibility to make the most of these years and our responsibility to hold you to this pledge. And while it is clear that things are happening just a little bit differently this year, nonetheless, the message of renewal that accompanies Convocation feels particularly significant in this moment. If we were on campus together, if we could all be part of the rush from building to building, from class to class, that accompanies the flurry of movement of the new academic year, we would pass by the words of our esteemed alumni, Grace Lee Boggs, class of 35, written on the book return outside the Milstein Center. When you walk by it day after day, often multiple times a day, the short quote can seem to flash by without a notice. Her words, commemorated outside, are indeed a cornerstone of this community. And so, at this moment in Barnard's history, I want to open the fall term with her simple words, in front of me and outside of the Milstein Center, and for all of us to hear collectively right now. And I quote, "The only way to survive is to take care of one another." Year after year, Barnard strives to forge a community based on the principle of care. We gather today on a solid foundation of care that previous generations of Barnard alumni have built for us, despite physical distance, despite disparate time zones, despite the ongoing pandemic, and despite our own national uncertainty as to who will indeed step up to the responsibility of care. Each of you has chosen to be here from among a myriad of choices, from our first-year students just days into their studies, to members of the senior class next in line to graduate, to our alumni spanning decades, and to our faculty, the pillars of what makes a Barnard education so special, so impactful, and so lifelong. This summer, I have had the privilege of witnessing Barnard's faculty work in reaction to the changes the coronavirus has brought on us. Some have engaged directly in critical and cutting-edge study of the pandemic and sought to provide answers and clarity to us as we live out the reality of the virus. And other faculty members have dedicated themselves to sustaining and improving Barnard through this reality. They have worked and reworked their courses, invented new ones, and attended workshops to change and develop their teaching to better reach their students. Our faculty are renowned scholars and dedicated teachers, members of their national academies, Guggenheim Award winners, Pulitzer Prize winners, Carnegie Foundation Fellows, recipients of prestigious grants from the National Endowment for the Humanities, the National Science Foundation, the National Institutes of Health. They are leaders in their scholarly fields, and they are dedicated to you, to their students. At Barnard, we take seriously that it is our responsibility to give you the chance to explore, to think critically, to forge relationships, and to make discoveries, to gain new perspectives, and to take risks. It is our simultaneous mission to instill in you an inner strength and a natural generosity, so that when you step up beyond our gates, you can both pursue what inspires you and share it to good measure with the world. Incredible amounts of time and care have gone into preparations for this coming year to make it possible for us to continue to offer you these opportunities for growth and expansion, just as time and care has gone into your decision to be present with us today and to make our community a reality. We face an unfamiliar landscape that is changing beneath our feet. I am confident that we can step forward together into this year, pushing each other from one another, but especially in such an uncertain time, caring for one another. So to the first years, welcome to Barnard. I can't tell you how happy I am to say those words, or how much hope you inspire in me. So much lies ahead in the next 4 years. Indulge and make the most of it. And to those returning, well, the great adventure of Barnard continues no matter what, and the enlivened debate of the active mind will thrive. I urge all of you to embrace your Barnard education, reach beyond what you learn in class, observe all you can, cherish your classmates and your community, even as you challenge them, and question everything. Barnard is the right place to do so, and we rely on you to do it. Welcome to all, and may the academic year ahead be truly magnificent.
Greetings, my name is Amanda Gates Elston, Barnard class of 2004 and staff member in the Events Management Office for 16 years. It is a deep and joyful honor to bring you greetings this Convocation Day from the Barnard staff. Filmmaker and Barnard's 2013 Athena Film Festival Award winner, Ava DuVernay, has said, activism is inherently a creative endeavor. It takes a radical imagination to be an activist, to envision a world that is not there. Barnard students, bright stars in a shimmering galaxy of one another's fierce glow, of faculty luminaries, of trailblazing alums, of all those who have come before us and continue to light the way in this amazing community. As you transport yourselves into virtual classes, online events and activities, and co-curricular discussions, remember that your unique voice, perspective, and story activate the space, that listening is transformative, and that you can use radical imagination to envision and to improve the world in powerful ways. The Barnard staff is here to support you on your journey. With the leadership, vision, and guidance of our inspiring president, provost, dean of the college, senior staff, deans, and directors, we are here for you as Barnard's programming coordinators, faculty department assistants, administrative assistants, schedulers and planners, custodians, groundskeepers, AV and IT and lab technicians, mechanics, painters, plumbers, electricians, access attendants, guides, mail clerks, librarians, archivists, researchers, grant writers, bookkeepers, digital communications experts, admissions counselors, health and wellness practitioners, and advocates for accessibility, sustainability, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Until we're all back on campus together, we'll see you on the interwebs, and we're just an email or Zoom call away. We can't wait to see how your identities and perspectives shine through and enrich the entire Barnard community. Happy Convocation.
Good afternoon, my name is Tirza Anderson and I'm the president of the Student Government Association. First, I would just like to welcome all of the students, staff, faculty, alums, and families who will be a part of our community throughout this academic year. Although it will be unique and challenging, we will rely on one another for support and strength. I especially want to welcome all of the first-year students, transfer students, and your families as you begin your journey of learning, growing, and building community at Barnard. As a student, I know how difficult it is to be physically separate from one another at this time. However, as we move to a virtual platform, I know that our community will only grow stronger. With that being said, we must recognize the larger context in which we are living. We must remember the lives of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and countless other Black people who have been victims of police violence. We must recognize the work of essential workers who keep our communities safe and cared for throughout the pandemic. And as Barnard enters its 131st year of education, we must recognize the great privilege we have to learn at an institution that has been dedicated to educating those who lack equal opportunity. Simultaneously, however, we must also recognize the history of exclusion at Barnard, an institution created for white women of means. It is essential that we come together and recognize and combat the inequities that influence the lives of each of us and our peers, both on and off campus. SGA is committed to supporting the Barnard community and supporting the work of students who have been committed to greater equity and justice. SGA is particularly dedicated to pursuing equity and inclusion on campus and in the communities we occupy outside of Barnard. In the last academic year, representatives in SGA specifically focused on issues of equity and justice in our programming and policy initiatives. We are proud to say that we introduced the inaugural role of the Vice President for Equity, and SGA representatives worked on issues ranging from greater equity in the classroom to public safety to greater access to campus resources. We will continue working towards a just campus that engages with issues of inclusion and equity. We have worked throughout the summer with administrators to address the needs of students in these difficult times, and we are committed to continuing this work with a specific emphasis on making Barnard more accessible and equitable for all students. Through SGA events, support for other student leaders, and work with campus partners, we are dedicated to building a strong virtual community that allows each of us to become more aware of our own identities and privileges. Throughout this academic year, I urge each student to challenge yourself and your peers, ask questions that change your perspective, and most importantly, open your mind to growth and change inside and outside of the classroom. And now, it is my honor to introduce the 8th President of Barnard College, President Sian Leah Beilock.
Good afternoon and welcome to our faculty and staff, to our alumni, to the parents joining us who we are so excited can be part of Convocation this year, and especially to all our new and returning students. New school years are full of the thrill and nervousness of uncertainty. What will I learn about the world and about myself? Who will I meet? How will my life change? But this year, for obvious reasons, we all have a lot of other questions too, and it's hard to know what to do or how to feel about them. On the one hand, the uncertainties are more universal. Will we be on campus in the spring? When will the pandemic end? How will the world change? And there are few things more anxiety-inducing than broad uncertainty combined with one absolute certainty, that nothing will ever be quite the same. But there is excitement in that too, because it means that the old saw that you might expect me and others to tell you today, that you can change the world, isn't quite right. You will change the world. You don't have a choice. Barnard Alumna and Oscar-nominated filmmaker Petra Costa, class of '06, is making a documentary about life during the pandemic because she said, the COVID-19 pandemic brings to the surface our deepest structural problems and the inequalities that define our societies. Changing the world for the better demands that we take a much sharper view of the world we are stepping out of. A world where economic, health and educational disparity and insecurity, systemic racism, environmental devastation, and other human-made ills have come to a head, leaving us all collectively far too vulnerable to the consequences of a single viral transmission across the world or a subtle shift in the atmosphere. We can look forward and into the new world we're stepping toward on the other side of the pandemic and see, I don't know, the possibilities are endless. That doesn't mean all the possibilities are better or even promising. Some of what I can see worries me tremendously, but I also see possibilities that are thrilling, inspiring, joyous, and utterly transformative. We're all straddling a threshold between an old world and a new one. But it's you. You are students who are already stepping out of an old world and into a new one, who are entering a world of scholarly investigation, academic experimentation, and intellectual and social adventure. It's you who are best positioned to perceive, imagine, and adapt our way from one world to the next, and to guide us through the gateway as safely and propitiously as possible. That might seem like a lot of pressure, especially when, at least for now, we can't even physically come together. The symbolism of crossing through a gateway loses something when you can't even cross through the main gate of the Barnard campus. I won't lie, there is something special about stepping from the noise and concrete of Broadway into the welcoming green of Futterfield. But in another way, what this unique moment affords us all is a chance to burrow deep into what it means to build presence and community across distances. How to create a full and stimulating world despite limitations, and how to dig very, very deeply into our work. The literal homework of grappling with the reality of the old world in order to create a better one. We're also stepping into others' worlds in ways that we might not have done in person. This means we have to try even harder to listen, to interpret, and to communicate effectively. Let's not hold back. Zoom into your classes with abandon. Zoom into each other's worlds with the power and reach of your thoughts and dialogues. Because by building a strong community virtually, especially those who are new to Barnard or those whom you have not yet met, we are practicing the skills it takes to rebuild the larger human community we will need to strengthen and nourish in a post-pandemic world. A community where dignity and care is granted to all, even those we will never know or meet, by virtue of our shared humanity. Because we must heed the warning of another Barnard alumna, distinguished author Jhumpa Lahiri, class of '89, who said that, at least here in the United States, the real danger is going to be going back to the way of thinking. Why is this happening to us as opposed to them? The threshold we are at together, locally, nationally, and globally, demands coming together in selflessness if we are to pass through it successfully and into something new and better. It will take hard work, scientifically and creatively formed insights, concentrated rigor, and a commitment to our civic obligations. If COVID-19, demonstrations against police violence, economic uncertainty, and an increasingly turbulent political climate have taught us anything, it's that building functional and strong communities cannot be separated from studying deeply, thinking critically, investigating closely, and acting with intellectual and moral deliberation. As voting rights activist and leader in the fight for a fair and full count in the 2020 census, Stacey Abrams told the Barnard community in a virtual conversation this past June, "We must meet adversity, not by pretending it doesn't exist, but by acknowledging it, by excavating it to find what lessons can be learned and what opportunities are hidden beneath all the sorrow." In other words, it's going to take homework, a lot of it. The homework starts with your classes. Many of you are taking courses that directly confront the questions we must answer if we want to move forward with hope. History courses on capitalism and the politics of crime and policing in the US, a philosophy course on contemporary moral problems, a political science colloquium called Making Democracy Work. Others ask you to apply an ethical framework to the technological literacy we must possess to function in, let alone impact the world before us. Director of the Vagelos Computational Science Center and the Druckenmiller Professor of Computer Science, Rebecca Wright's computer science course on privacy and a networked world is an outstanding example of the many opportunities Barnard offers to connect complicated social and philosophical issues with the practice of cutting-edge 21st century science. I ask that you find real-world, up-to-the-minute connections in every course you are taking. Consider how the novels you read, the dances you dance, the chemical solutions you prepare, the religions you study, and the languages you learn all inspire multitudes of knowledge, insight, and structures of thought that can help spark the values and systems of the world you will lead. And classes are just the start. I want to tell you about a few other ways that Barnard can get you ready to reshape the world. Take advantage of Beyond Barnard, which provides lifelong advising and resources on all things related to jobs, careers, internships, fellowships, and graduate school. One benefit of being off campus is the chance to stay sharply focused on your personal, academic, and professional trajectories. What a perfect time, too, to do the homework of mapping out potential paths for your own futures. Whether you're a first year looking to connect with an alumna mentor in the arts, media, or social advocacy, or a senior seeking group support with your career search. And because I don't think it's ever been more important for us all to think about our individual roles in figuring out what comes next for humanity, I encourage our alumni, too, to reach out to Beyond Barnard. Whether you're a recent graduate taking part in our School to Work Transition series, or a mom returning to the workforce after sending your youngest off to college. Finally, none of this would amount to real change if we did not also provide you with the means to consider and demonstrate your gifts and responsibilities to your communities. More than any other point in your life, college is where the practice of citizenship and civic duty can be formulated. Sadly, civics, once a mainstay of high school in the United States, is frequently abandoned as a topic of study. The consequences are plain to see. But Barnard women have always embodied the activist spirit, and it is times like these we're more committed than ever to exemplifying the central and essential value of civic participation. I'll pause here to ask, are you registered to vote? Have you studied your voting options and figured out a plan? Have you helped others answer these questions? And if you weren't living in Barnard housing this past spring, have you been counted in the 2020 census? There's still time to do all these things and to encourage and help others do the same. And to meet the unprecedented moment we're in with the commitment to civic engagement it demands, Barnard has launched Third Space, a 2-part virtual co-curricular program that you can participate in from anywhere. Third Space is about answering the questions. What can we learn from the work of others? How do we tackle this need for change through the lenses of equity and inclusion? How do we connect what we're learning in the classroom to the urgency of the challenges that exist outside of it? And it's about taking action to answer them through innovative, multidisciplinary, locally focused collaborations. One shining example of such a collaboration that you will learn about in Third Space is Fix Up, a startup founded by Barnard Associate Professor of Professional Practice in Theater Sandra Goldmark and Michael Banta, a production manager for the theater department. Fix Up reduces the waste and impact of discarded consumer goods through the development and operation of pop-up shops and educational events, where local artisans practice and demonstrate how to repair and reuse everyday household goods and other objects. Since 2013, Fix Up has diverted over 10,000 pounds of waste from landfills and provided work for dozens of talented individuals. Third Space will inspire you to create community-improving projects of your own, and it will give you the space, tools, and collaborators to do so. You will also learn from scholars and researchers already doing the work of creating a better post-pandemic world in multiple ways, including Professor Goldmark, who's Barnard's first director of campus sustainability and climate action. So many of our faculty have such a strong focus on sustainability, such as anthropology professor Paige West, who's been a key part of the inaugural community of experts envisioning Columbia's brand new climate school, the university's first new school in 25 years, and a stellar opportunity for students to play a role in confronting what I believe to be one of the greatest existential threats we face. Another example of a trailblazer tackling the greatest and most consequential issues of our time is today's keynote speaker, Barnard Alumna Suki Kim, class of '92. Suki has done her homework and then some. She even moved her home temporarily to do it, to North Korea, where she lived and worked undercover and went deep into the private world of the country's elite to discover the intimate realities of totalitarianism. She shared these revelations with the world in her best-selling book, Without You, There Is No Us. Suki is a visionary journalist and novelist, and it's a thrill to have her with us today.
Last year, President Beilock asked me to speak at Convocation, and I couldn't due to a prior obligation out of the country. Decades ago, I too stood in your place, a fresh immigrant on financial aid, my English still awkward. So the invitation was meaningful for me, as well as for my father, who worked as a grocer since arriving in America and dropped me off at Barnard every September in his delivery truck. He didn't speak English, so I would have had to translate for him, but watching me in the audience give this speech would have realized his American dream. But I couldn't adjust my schedule, so I told myself I would do it next year. But I was wrong. Our world changed. This convocation is unlike any other, and I am addressing you without being able to meet you in person. What a time to be a college student, supposedly carefree, and embarking on the new academic year at Barnard, a place I know will forever change your lives. What a time to be this age, voting for the first time, and joining the most powerful community of the smartest women across the globe, where you will grow and learn and build, where being a woman is the position of strength, hope, and celebration, where you'll be on a journey to follow your passion and desires, to locate the best woman within you, not just to gratify yourself and your parents, but also for the bigger world that is waiting for you and desperately needs you. My job today is to inspire you as you attend college in such strange and uncertain times, to ease your fears, to tell you that it's all going to be okay. But I have spent my life fighting for and exposing truth, so here it is. You are entering college during wartime. People are dying and getting sick daily at astonishing, unacceptable numbers. America has been the worst among nearly all nations at protecting its citizens. The revolutions from Me Too to Black Lives Matter have revealed the irredeemable cracks in the system at the very foundation of the world we live in. Our healthcare system is failing, our criminal justice system is failing, our education system is failing, our government has failed. When you no longer trust hospitals, police, or schools, the society you have is not working. Although the pandemic itself will end, the world at large needs deep repairs. And soon you will take the driver's seat. Last night, I sat for hours at my desk trying to write this speech, which I must say was difficult. And I really had to look into my heart to tell you something useful, something befitting a solution, something that wasn't all flowery, vague words, something that has offered consolation in my turbulent but fascinating life thus far. I kept coming back to empathy. It's a big word, sounds too broad, almost boring. As a writer, if there were an alternate, I would use it. But there isn't, so I'll try to explain. I'm afraid I must begin this part of the speech with when I was 18, which might be the point when I lose your attention. When older people inevitably talk about when they were your age, there is usually a lesson they're trying to impart. And here it is. The reason it was so difficult to write this speech is because I have never been in your shoes attending college during a pandemic. The most I could do is simply try my best to imagine your position. So I found the common ground, something as innocuous as age. Yet 18 is not such an innocuous number. It's actually a seminal age, so I remember it well. At 18, standing where you are now as an immigrant still new to this country, I felt quite unequipped for Barnard. People mention feminism and sisterhood when they think of Barnard, but to be honest, I remember none of that. I don't remember it because equal rights for women was the basic condition at Barnard rather than something special. And I graduated and stepped out into the world outside expecting and demanding that fairness. That for me is the real lesson I learned at Barnard, which carried me through life. And the same starts for you today. But starting college during a pandemic might seem terribly unfair. A deprivation that might hit you hard and stop you in your tracks. This is where empathy comes in. It doesn't mean you forgive everything and everyone. That's impossible. Empathy means embracing love as the starting point of facing your challenges. People often ask me what made me major in English literature and become a writer when I didn't speak a word of English at 13. For me, the answer was simple. I kept my eyes on what I enjoyed, and it always brought me back to writing. This is also why later in life I went undercover into North Korea. I followed what I cared about, the love of humanity, truth, and justice. Those are still the reasons why I get up each morning to write. What is important is different for each one of you, but the path is clearer when you start with empathy for yourself and others. And it is also the only thing that can assuage fear, the other constant in life. Fear is what makes this very moment so difficult. Fear is the wall this country wants to build between it and others, though it appears that a deadly virus is the more effective barricade between us and them. Fear has no reason. It's heavy and keeps you awake at night, which for some people is how they spend their whole lives. Fear is depression, where you cannot get out of bed, when nothing tastes the way it should, where everything anyone says becomes a noise. Fear is when you sit by yourself and cry. But crying as an 18-year-old is lonelier than crying as a child. When kids cry, parents give them a hug. Not all of you got that, I'm sure. Especially if you did, give yourself a hug and hug those in need when this pandemic is over. And in the meantime, be sure to remain connected virtually to those you love. Love is an interactive thing, I believe. When you give it, you also keep a part of its warmth. The physical community that we are all missing will come back, and you will never take it for granted. You will never lock yourself in your dorm alone on a gorgeous sunny afternoon fighting with your best friend. Although you will inevitably have difficult days, you will remember the lesson of this time, this virtual convocation, and the valiant way your college insisted you learn and connect with each other despite the obstacles. You will remember the cruel breach of justice that was happening around you, because this enormous sacrifice of human lives has a cause and an effect, and tragedy has a price. This unprecedented year of college will shape you for the rest of your lives. Read everything, write down everything, observe everything. Be the witness of this time and use it later for the world which you will lead. Empathy begins with you here, now, because this challenge is just the beginning. A year ago, by postponing this convocation speech, I did not get to return to campus, to a packed room. Not only because we lost that world for the moment, but also because my father suddenly passed away this summer. It was not COVID, but COVID played a part in why he was not diagnosed on time and treated sooner, and why I could not be with him to hold his hand through his final days. In this unfathomable world that is now missing my father, fear grips me in cavernous gulps that I had never known. And it's a new struggle as life gives. Yet the first instance since his passing where I saw hope was facing the blank screen to write this speech. And there was the memory of my dad unloading my bags on 116th Street and Broadway on that September afternoon, and me with him, the anxious, shy 18-year-old I was, yet unaware how marvelously shaped by Barnard I will be. And where I found this strength was in my love for all of you, our new and returning students, entering the same Barnard gate through your computer screens. You are all precious and add an unforgettable chapter of our luminous history. Life on this earth is limited and huge. Nothing lasts forever, and you cannot control how it goes. But it's also heartbreaking and full of delightful surprises. It's worth a try, many tries in fact. But also give yourselves a break. Be forgiving on the side of the weak, but demanding to those in power. Your journey begins here. Thank God you're in the right place.
Good afternoon. My name is Leslie Grinage, and I'm pleased to serve as Dean of the College here at Barnard. It is truly an honor to be with you from wherever you may be watching in order to celebrate this time-honored tradition of convocation. Convocation is a favorite hallmark of the fall semester for a number of reasons. For one, I think it's beautifully significant to come together right as autumn looms because with the cooler temperatures and falling leaves, it brings about the possibility of change and renewal. Most especially, however, I also look forward to this ceremony because I get the privilege of speaking to all Barnard students across class years as you embark on the start of the new academic year. I know that this year feels different because of the circumstances, but I want all of our students to know that the air for change and hope for renewal will still come this year, and it's important for all of you to recognize and seize the possibilities. Seniors, as graduation draws closer, I hope that you will take time this year to think about where you started, how far you've come, and all the twists and turns along the way. My hope is that in doing so, you will see your own potential for growth and agility and use that to propel you into your next steps. To our juniors, now is the time to think about what kind of legacy you want to leave as a class. Be ready to take the torch from seniors and think about ways you can make our community even better for those who come after you, for the classes yet to come. Sophomores, you're no longer the new students on the block, and I hope that you're feeling more settled into the community. With your feet under you, it's time to delve deeper into the many resources Barnard has to support your interests. I challenge you to continue to discover new ideas and ways of thinking. And to our first year and transfer students, welcome to Barnard. Be patient with yourselves as you navigate a brand new culture. It's important to take it all in, but not overwhelm yourselves in the process. Also know that you have just as much to give to the Barnard community as it has to give to you. And with that said, to all of our students, be kind to yourselves as you navigate through this time, but also be kind to each other. Don't be afraid to lean on each other for support and take the initiative to reach out a hand to your fellow students. I encourage you to extend that outside of your usual social circles and check in and get to know someone you might not otherwise know. To the alumni, I am always in awe of your generosity. As I've remarked to the students already, they are joining a community of women who demonstrate the definition of boldness, character, and strength, especially in the face of challenge and adversity. I believe students have taken solace in knowing that alumni will be there for them, not only on their journey to graduation, but even long after. In response to our current circumstances, you have all answered the call to empower and mentor Barnard students through times of difficulty and to take special care of your Barnard community through volunteering your words of encouragement and providing students with resources and your time. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for being so giving in the endeavor to make our students feel connected and lifted up. To my fellow faculty and staff colleagues, I have personally witnessed your tireless dedication to the learning and development of our students throughout my tenure here so far. But that has been further exemplified over the course of this spring and summer. I've watched you bring such creativity and innovation to your work, and in order to reimagine how we might provide higher education that is in line with our mission and values, and also responsive and relevant to all that is going on around us. Regardless of our ability to be together physically, moving forward with this tradition is important. Convocation is more than just a ceremonial rite of passage into the new year. It's a time for us to come together as a community to uphold the virtues expressed in our honor code, which affirm our collective commitment to academic excellence and integrity. By taking this time to gather here today, we are demonstrating our shared responsibility in fostering and maintaining an environment where academic freedom and creativity may thrive and flourish. Although we are in this virtual space, amidst the pandemic and unrest throughout the country, now more than ever, it is vital that Barnard come together to affirm intellectual curiosity and reasoning and the fearless pursuit of learning. May we all have a wonderful academic year.
There's a college on a hilltop that's very dear to me, and and a certain group of students with ties of camaraderie. So we'll sing to dear old Barnard, and loyal be and true, as we show to coming classes how we love the white and blue. When the day has come for parting, and college days are o'er, there will always be a fondness for the good old days of yore. And we'll sing to dear old Barnard, as in memory we see the college on a hilltop where our classmates used to be.
I now have the distinct honor of declaring this convocation ceremony adjourned. On behalf of my fellow faculty and all who hold education in the highest regard, we wish everyone much success this academic year and look forward to all that is to come. Thank you for celebrating with us.